Welcome to the Terminal Exchange, the official podcast of Nussbaum Transportation, where we share key issues and compelling stories in the trucking industry. I'm your host, Saige Anderson, and you're listening to episode 84, Jeff King on truck driver training. Today, we'll chat with Jeff about his experience as a performance coach, trainer, and instructor at the Nussbaum Trucking Academy. We look forward to learning more about Jeff, the Academy, and hearing about life's joys and challenges. Now, here's our featured exchange.
All right. Well, I thought I'd start with a few funny ones to get off with. Are you staying out of trouble?
Trying.
So anytime I run into you, I feel like you ask me that question, are you staying out of trouble? So I thought for a while, like, I had trouble written on my forehead and I'd go home and try to wash it off or something.
No, that's just what I ask people, kind of break the ice.
Yeah, yep. I was wondering how you got the last name King. What did you have to do for that?
The last name King?
Yeah, like your last name is King.
Just luck of the draw, I guess. I don't know.
That's really cool. Yeah, so Jeff King. Does anyone ever call you King Jeff?
Actually, Dave Keim does every time I see him.
Okay.
When I walk through safety and HR,
Yeah.
It's good to be king. I get them all.
Awesome. So why don't you let us know how long you've been at Nussbaum? What has been your career here? I know there's been a few different titles.
Been here a little over 5.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Driver, trainer, performance coach for a while before COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then now.
What is a performance coach?
I would spend a couple of days a month in the office calling people, helping them with their habit scores and talking to them about smart drive events.
Okay.
Trying to help them improve.
Sure. Would you say that most trucking companies have habit scores and smart drive? Like, for anyone that's listening that's not at Nussbaum, what are those things?
This is the only place I've ever seen it. It's just a gauge as to how well you're doing your job and how to improve to be safer, more productive.
Okay. Yeah. So what are some of the habit scores? Like throttle usage?
Hard braking, throttle, smooth driving, following distance, and that's huge because that's a safety factor.
Sure.
So the throttle is helping with our fuel mileage, and with as many trucks as we've got, fuel mileage is very important.
Yeah. So it's just a way that we can save a lot of money,
Yes.
essentially, if all of our, almost 500 drivers are paying attention to that, it just will save us a ton.
Yes.
Was it uncomfortable to have to make those calls and tell people, hey, I've been kind of watching what you're doing and it's not so great?
At first it was, and most people were pretty accepting. At first they were kind of put off having somebody from the office call because obviously their caller ID says Nussbaum when I call them. But once they found out that I was actually a driver and I understood what they were going through, they were more accepting of what I had to tell them.
Yeah. It's so crazy how something like that is so disarming. Like, just how someone's countenance and reaction can just change once they realize, oh, this person actually can relate to me. They're in the same seat as me. So yeah, you said that was a few years that you did that, or a year or so?
A little over a year.
Okay. So driver, performance coach,
Trainer. I trained on the road.
Okay. Any funny stories about that? Or interesting stories?
I don't know. I mean, it's been kind of up and down. You get people that are really thrilled, and then people that think they already know it all, and you have to get them to understand that they have a long ways to go.
Yeah.
I've had people that worked really hard and trained right up to the last day and then quit. And you just don't understand the motivation for it.
Yeah.
I had a lady that was all upset that we went to Denver because
Okay.
she didn't think she was ready for the mountains. Well, we don't run through any mountains to get to Denver. Actually, when we left, we took the southern route coming back, and we were at a higher elevation at that point than we were when we were in Denver.
Okay.
And I pointed that out to her, and she was just amazed that,
Yeah. So just trusting.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. How did you react to the first time that you had to have someone like with you in the truck? Like, because you're sleeping in the same area and sharing such a small space.
I had actually started training when I was an owner-operator.
Okay.
I trained some friends and family members, so that was an easier transition because I already knew the people.
Sure.
That wasn't a problem. But then when I started training for a company and I didn't know who was joining me in the truck, it's a little awkward the first few days, so you get to understand their needs and how they're going to be.
Yeah. So yeah, let's rewind before we go any deeper. Where did you grow up? Why did you want to become a driver?
I grew up on a farm about 50 miles north of here.
Okay.
So I've lived in central Illinois.
Sure.
Pretty much my whole
What town is that called?
Tonica.
Tonica. Okay.
It's very tiny. So I went in the service straight out of high school, and I had several different jobs in the service, and one of them was driving a truck.
Okay.
So
was there a reason that you felt called to the service, or?
It was kind of awkward. I needed to provide for a family.
Sure. Yeah.
So
that was a good way to do it.
that was the best way. At 17, it's hard to find a job to support a family.
Yeah. Was that your family, like, that you were growing up in, or a family you started?
The family I started.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's very noble that you were willing to go out there to do that. So, yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your family?
I have two boys.
Okay.
One lives in Pekin, one lives in Indiana. I have a daughter who lives in Vermont.
Wow.
So they're just spread out. We don't see each other very much.
Sure.
My two oldest boys, I pretty much raised on my own.
Okay.
Their mom and I got divorced, and she had nothing to do with them. So So trucking worked well to provide for them.
Okay. Yeah. And what about currently? Are you married currently?
Yes.
Okay.
I am married. We live in Minunk. She has one daughter. And
Sure.
we've been together for 11 years.
Wow. All right. What's her name?
Wendy.
Wendy. Okay. You want to give her a shout out or anything if she's listening?
No.
Valentine's Day is coming up.
I know. I don't know what I'm going to do there, but
You can do a sweet poem. Roses are red, violets are blue. Wendy, I love you. Don't you love me too?
there you go, Wendy. There it is.
Well, awesome. And so how does she feel about, I guess, you're home more, but before, when you were out on the road for a while, how does the spouse feel about that?
It was an adjustment because when we first got together, I was teaching, so I was home every night. So she got used to me being home every night. Mm-hmm. And then I went back on the road, and so there was an adjustment period there. And then I drove over the road for over 4 years here. Mm-hmm. So she got used to being alone all week and had her own schedule.
Sure.
So we had to readjust when I started being home every night. But
Yeah.
it works good.
Okay.
We still do the same things. I mean, when I drove over the road, every Friday night was date night, just so we could spend time together. We would go out, have a meal.
Okay. You have a favorite restaurant you guys go to?
Texas Roadhouse.
Okay. Do you go there for your birthday? Because don't they make you ride like a saddle or something?
Only if you tell them. So we don't tell them.
Okay. Yeah, I think they have the really good butter. It's like cinnamon butter or something.
Oh, yes. We get extra take it home every time.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good. Well, So what, after you got out of the service, what led you into the truck? Was it because you had experience in the service?
Yeah, because I wasn't really trained for much of anything else because I never went to college or anything. I did a little bit as a veterinary assistant when I first came home while I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I really enjoyed that because I grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
But my second passion was driving, so I just kind of fell back into it.
Okay. So would you recommend a driving career to somebody like just finishing high school? I know now Illinois, we're kind of testing the waters with like 18-year-olds.
Yes. It's not for everybody. It depends on your family circumstances, and support from home is very important.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Have you been seeing some of the younger ones at Heartland?
I had one class where I had 3 18-year-olds in the same class.
Wow.
And I'd actually, because they were so mature and so into it, I'd forgotten that they were in high school until one of them, one day he was in the back of the truck and he goes, "Oh no, I got it." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "I've been selected to play in the band at the National FFA Convention." I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're still in high school."
He said, "Oh no."
Yeah.
Like he was like.
He was shocked because he didn't think he was going to get it.
Aw, that's so sweet. Wow. Did he invite you to the concert?
No, he didn't.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, yeah, for those that are listening that, again, don't know what we're talking about, Nussbaum has, I don't want to say like create a partnership, but Nussbaum has merged with Heartland Community College to create a trucking academy, essentially.
It's a partnership. I mean, Heartland already had a trucking academy going.
Yeah.
They just needed some help maintaining it and growing it.
Yeah. And so you've been one of their instructors now for?
Ever since we started, October 21.
Okay. Yeah. And do you think that the classes keep growing? Is it like a hot class that people are just trying to get into?
Our next class is 15 students. That's the biggest class we've ever had.
Wow.
And they're continually growing.
Wow. Okay. What is, I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, but what you've been gathered, what's the pass rate? You know, people start the class. Does anybody not make it?
We, in the whole time we've been doing it, we've only had 3 that have not made it, and one of them is actually scheduled to come into the next class. So last year, for the entire year, we had a 97.3% pass rate. We had 2 students that didn't make it out of 73.
Sure. Can you tell, like, right away when you meet someone, like, do you have sort of like, maybe they won't be able to make it?
I've got a pretty good idea how they're going to do the first day in class, because I also teach the classroom portion of it, and how they react in class, how engaged they are, gives me a better idea what they're going to do once they get behind the wheel. Okay.
So what are some things, like, what are some personalities that might want to stay away from this career? Like, if you're very distracted, if you're
easily distracted, or you got to have 12 hours of sleep every night, and and you're not used to being away from home, or you have young kids, you're not going to have the support from home because your spouse is not going to want to do this on their own.
Yeah. Wow. What's like a good personality for it, or a good character? Like, what are you looking for in students?
Somebody who's outgoing and not afraid to learn something new and admit their mistakes and go out into the world and make their own way.
Okay. Yeah. Have any of your students, while you've been with them, like, hit anything or had any accidents?
No.
No, that's good.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. That's good. What do you think is the most rewarding thing about being a teacher?
Watching them progress and grow, and the look on their face and the excitement when they get that license it's just priceless. That is awesome for me.
Yeah. Do they ever, I don't know if they have your phone number, but like send you a text or an email of like the picture and be like, I got it?
For the permits, they send me a message, and for the test itself, most of the time I'm there at the DMV with them, so I know as soon as they walk through the door.
Oh, okay, because they have to have you in case they don't pass.
And so they all have my phone number, and we stay in touch. I mean, I have students from 12 years ago that still call me and talk to me. And
wow. I'm surprised you're not getting a call right now.
Phone's off. I actually, one of my students from like 12 years ago, she wanted to quit the program, and I wouldn't let her. She got her CDL. 2 years ago, last year, my wife and I went to North Carolina so I could walk her down the aisle when she got married.
Wow. Okay. So did you just remain in contact with her, or she kind of adopted me as her dad,
and she calls my wife Mom, and
yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a really sweet story. So yeah, you have the opportunity to really just care for your students, like past just teaching them how to drive.
Yeah, we're only together for 4 weeks, but we spend all of the time together, so we develop a bond, and I really care about them. I want to see what they do in the future, and anything I can do to help them.
Sure. Yeah. So I asked a few people in the office just like for comments or questions or anything about you, and a few people had a lot of good things to say. So Jeff Jackson just wanted to say that you are someone that would give your shirt off your back to someone, and he said, please tell him that I said it, so it's true. So have you ever actually done that?
I've given students my coat. That's as close as I've come.
Yeah, and then Tian said that there's been some different health struggles that you've had, and you've had a lot of prayer here, and she said in the midst of all of that, she has never heard you complain. So she kind of made it sound like there's different things that you've battled with, but you've just been a steady, faithful, just strong-hearted person during it all.
Jim Revell probably sums it up pretty good. He says he's never seen anybody deal with the adversity the way I do. It's with humor.
Okay.
I have a disease that I was diagnosed with like 3 years ago that is trying its best to kill me.
Oh no.
And I don't dwell on it. It's just, and I laugh about it, make jokes about it, because that's my way of dealing with it.
Sure.
And complaining isn't going to change it. So I just, throw myself into my work.
Yeah. Wow. I don't I'm curious what it is, but I don't want you to like have to share too much.
No, it's called Wegener's granuloma.
Wow, that's a name.
Yeah, it's very rare. There's less than 200,000 cases in the U.S. Most doctors have never heard of it, and it took them a long time to figure out what it was. They originally thought I had lung cancer because I had growths in my lungs.
Yeah.
They did 4 lung biopsies before they figured out that it was not cancer. The disease, it's not hereditary, and there's no cure.
Okay. So what's happening with it? Like, what does it do?
It's a vascular disease. It affects my lungs, my heart. The first place it attacked was my sinuses.
Okay.
That was the first indication that there was anything wrong with me. I was losing my hearing. I couldn't breathe.
Oh, no. So how do you cope with it? Is there a type of medicine to make it like lessen? Or?
I get chemo every Saturday, and I'm on prednisone daily.
Okay.
Have been for 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what that is, or.
It's a steroid.
Okay.
So the chemo is to help suppress my immune system because it's overactive, and it kills healthy cells.
Sure. Have you gotten to meet some neat people by going in and doing chemo? Like, is there other, because most of that is cancer patients, right? Like,
I'm usually in and out pretty quick on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
When this first started, it was an all-day process to get the chemo, and my wife would go with me, and the nurses were very good, and I got to meet a few people, and it was painful because I was spending all day at the hospital. I wasn't getting anything done, but
Yeah.
I realized on the other hand, this is what's going to keep me alive. So,
Wow. Yeah. And your hair is still here.
amazingly enough, yes, because everybody teased me and said, you're going to lose all your hair. And I said, well, if we do, my mother had cancer, so that's a big scare for me.
Okay.
And she lost all her hair, and she dealt with it the same way I did, with humor.
Okay.
When she lost all her hair, she actually had my son draw Mickey Mouse on the back of her head, so that everybody could see that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was asking someone that had cancer a while ago. She's healthy and okay. About like being scared about her hair loss, and she said she did lose her hair, but she said that there are some people that it's just never a problem. So,
I mean, I have lost hair, just not here. I mean, like my legs and stuff.
Sure.
It's disappeared. And
yeah,
I
not
don't
bad.
care. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. But it's very admirable to be able just to persevere. And so now it's just about like an hour, you said, on a Saturday? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. Does your wife still go with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Because depending on how I feel, some days it hits me pretty hard. She needs to drive me home. Some days I'm fine.
Yeah. Well, what is it nearby, or?
I come right here to Bloomington to Broman, or Carl now.
Sure. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. I mean, that you're okay. Just
I understand.
delete that quote. It's awesome that you have that reaction to it. Okay. Well, to anyone else that's struggling with some sort of health challenge, what kind of advice would you give to them?
Don't give up. Just keep praying, and God will take care of it. Keep moving forward.
Yeah. Do you have, I don't know, maybe like a favorite scripture or a song or like something that you kind of hold on to?
Not really. I mean, different days, different things strike me different.
Okay.
And honestly, Jim Revell has been a rock through this whole thing.
Okay.
He's been to some of my procedures and sat with my wife the whole time I was in the operating room and waited to make sure everything was okay.
Wow. Yeah. So for those of you who are wondering who's Jim Revell, we have a company chaplain, and I believe he's here every Wednesday.
Yes,
and then
he is.
Maybe on call. I mean, yeah, on call for those that when you need it. So, that's awesome. One question from Cole Zeller on a lighter note. If you had one classic rock band that you could meet in person, alive or dead, which band would it be?
Deep Purple.
Deep Purple.
Yes.
Okay. I only know that as a color.
Way before your time. Smoke on the Water.
Okay.
Space Trucking.
Space Trucking?
Yes. Highway Star.
That's their names or songs?
That's names of the songs.
Okay.
They're all done by Deep Purple.
Okay.
And most people don't recognize them. And actually, that's one of my ringtones. And I was kind of surprised one day. I was at the DMV in Springfield with students, and my phone rang, and the security guard was walking through, and he didn't say anything because I answered the phone. When I came back through, he told me, he goes, "That's Highway Star from Deep Purple," and most people wouldn't get it. And he was on it.
Wow. So how does the ringtone go? Or is it just like an instrumental?
It's just the instrumental.
Can you still give us a little like? Nah.
No. That's not me.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have to include it in the show notes or something, where you could listen to a song. Is like rock what you like to listen to?
Yes.
Okay.
And older rock, 60s and 70s.
Okay. What's different about that style versus like rock right now?
I don't know. I just grew up with it. So it's what I like.
Just familiar.
And like I said earlier, when I first got this disease, the first thing that it affected was my sinuses and my hearing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I was just going through everything trying to figure out what this was. So my hearing wasn't that great. And I went to a concert that I paid a lot of money for, and I couldn't really enjoy it because I couldn't hear it that well.
No.
And it was Leonard Skinner playing in Peoria.
Okay.
And I've loved them since the 70s. I saw them in concert twice. And my wife enjoyed the show, but I couldn't hear most of it.
Well, Leonard Skinner, if you are listening right now, we would love a at-home concert for Jeff.
There you go.
Yeah. Wow. That's rough. Okay. So aside from your rock band, how has Nussbaum made a difference in your life?
A lot more peace.
Okay.
I was an owner-operator for a long time, and then I've worked for other companies, and it's just not the same. I wish I'd have come here years ago because they truly care about their people. It's not just words, they mean it.
Sure. Yeah.
And with all the health problems I've been going through, there's been a lot of support.
Yeah. Yeah. What maybe is like another just difference that Nussbaum has versus where you've been? Like bringing in cinnamon rolls today.
Well, that's always a bonus,
so many cinnamon
food
rolls
day.
Today.
Everybody truly cares, and they take the time to talk to you. I'm not used to having the CEO of the company that I work for know my name and come talk to me. That's it's unheard of.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a good Brent. Awesome. What is something that you get excited about being here outside of, like, so you're instructor and your students graduate? What is something that you just like find passion, whether it's teaching, being behind the wheel, or
I really enjoy the teaching. It's something I've always liked, and Nussbaum's given me the opportunity to do it. And with my health and my age, I need to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
And this is a way to slow down but still give back to the industry. And watching our trucks change, and the technology,
yeah,
and being able to see it firsthand.
Yeah. So we're not teaching our students, though, the mirrorless trucking yet.
I keep trying to convince Brendan to get one for the school, but it's not happening.
Yep. So we use our Freightliners.
We have 3 manual trucks that we bought specifically for the school.
Okay.
They're all Freightliners, but none of them have ever been in our fleet. And we have one automatic from our fleet to teach with.
Okay. So do the students have an option, like if I signed up for the class and I only wanted automatic, is that an option?
Yes.
Okay, that's nice to know. What are some of the stories? Like, do you ask your students, why are you here? Like, what are some of the stories that they give?
Just most of them just want something different. Some of them already have a job. Excuse me.
Okay.
And they just want another option further down the road. Maybe they're not going to use their CDL right away, but there may become a time where they want to.
Yeah.
I had a 92-year-old lady in really good health. Her husband passed away. She didn't want to sit at home. So she came to one of my schools and got her CDL so she could travel the country.
And she did?
Yes.
Wow. Is she working for a company, or?
She actually bought a truck and just did her own thing.
Wow. How long ago was this?
Probably about 10 years ago.
Wow. Okay, so she'd be 102 now.
Yeah.
Maybe still doing it. Yeah, that's really impressive and shocking.
Yeah. Well, we've had airline pilots, doctors, lawyers, you name it. People just want to change in their life or maybe it's on their bucket list. So people come for a variety of reasons.
Yeah. And the other day, Joe had a trailer on his Jeep, and I was sitting in the passenger side, and I just was like, I don't know if I could ever, like, I feel like you'd have to feel the trailer or like, I just could never get over, like, this spatial recognition of, like, how far or how wide, like.
It just takes practice. You get used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and then just the different tight spots, and then having to get over just the pressure of, like, if I do hit something or, just stuff like that. So it's very admirable.
And that's one of the biggest things you have to convince a student of is, yes, this is way bigger than anything you've ever driven, but it's completely manageable if you pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Have you yourself ever been in an accident? And if so, what has it taught you?
I had one bad accident in Albany, New York.
Oof.
It was with a friend's truck.
Okay.
My truck was in the shop. He asked me to do a favor for him. And I wrecked his truck.
No.
But it was not my fault. It was raining. I was in the center lane with an empty trailer, and a guy pulled in front of me and slammed on his brakes.
Okay.
And when he came across in front of me, I could kind of look into the car, and there was a car seat in the back. And when he hit the brakes, my first thought was, I cannot hit that car under no circumstances because there's a child there. And I hit the center wall at about 60 miles an hour.
Wow.
And pretty much demolished his truck and his trailer. But, fractured my pelvis, and that was it.
Whew.
And the guy never stopped. He just went away. So that taught me to leave even more room. I'd always been cautious, but that made me more cautious.
Wow. Yeah, kind of makes you want to tear up. It's just scary. But, that's just, I just hope and pray that other people would have that same mentality of, like, I'd rather sacrifice myself and this equipment than a child.
Yep. And you read about it all the time. There's been drivers that have run off into a ditch and rolled over to keep from hitting a school bus or things like that.
Wow.
It's part of the mentality of most drivers is they don't want to take a life. They'd rather give theirs up first.
Yeah. Wow. That's really powerful. I just never thought about that. Whew. Is that something that you share typically with your students too? Okay. Wow.
Because it's not a job. It's a lifestyle. It's a choice. And there's a lot of responsibility that goes with it.
Yeah. Wow. Whew. So if someone was interested, let's say someone's listening and they're in California, would we accept students at Heartland all the way across the state, like across the U.S., or how does that work?
We could, but they would have to get an Illinois license in order to do it.
Okay. So yeah, people that are in Illinois wouldn't be most attractive to the school. Okay. And what are their options? Like, is there a day class, a night class?
We offer both. We offer 2 night classes a year. Our first one's going to start in just a couple of weeks. And that one runs for 8 weeks because it's only half as much time as the day class.
Okay.
But we do offer both.
Sure. Do you teach a specific one, like the morning or the night?
Nope.
Just whichever one you feel like.
Whatever needs to be handled.
And how many instructors do we have currently? 3?
Well, me, I'm the only full-time, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 part-time instructors.
Instructors, okay. Okay, well, awesome. And so the nighttime runs, you said, for 8 weeks, the daytime 4 weeks then? Okay.
1 week of classroom and 3 weeks behind the wheel.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's scary for a lot of people because when they finally get behind the wheel, they're like, I only have 3 weeks to learn this. Yeah, but you can do it.
So if they go through the Heartland and then they want a job at Nussbaum, what kind of training do we give them here?
Well, I mean, we would put them with a trainer.
Yep.
4 weeks with a trainer, 4 weeks on their own, 4 weeks with another trainer. And
we're still kind of moderating them for a little bit.
It would be the same whether they come from our academy or someplace else. If they have less than a year,
Yep.
we're going to make sure that they do it the Nussbaum way.
Okay. Yeah. We got a pretty good way here, I think.
Yes, we do.
Well, awesome. Anything else you'd like to add? Any words of encouragement for any drivers that are interested?
Anybody who wants to drive, go for it. I mean, it may turn out that this is not what you want, but you won't know unless you try it.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome.
And it seems daunting, but hang in there. It's doable.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some things that you enjoy being out on the road? Are you like the 92-year-old that wants to just travel the country, or?
I've seen the country. I don't need to do it again. I enjoy the fact that I don't have a boss looking over my shoulder constantly. I mean, I still have a boss, but he's not sitting right behind me.
Yeah. I got Ryan behind me all the time. Just kidding, Ryan.
That's not so bad.
Yeah. Well, awesome, Jeff. It was really great to talk to you, and I really appreciate you sharing your story.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
All right. Let's go teach some students.
All right. Sounds good.
Hi, everyone. This is CJ from Recruiting at Nussbaum, and I'd love to answer any questions you have about driving with us. Give us a call at 309-268-1199 or visit nussbaumjobs.com. Talk to you soon.
You've been listening to Terminal Exchange, the official podcast of Nussbaum Transportation. If you're enjoying our content, please leave us a review. Your reviews help us spread the word about these important topics and invite more people into the conversation. You can rate and review us on your podcast app or visit us online at terminalexchange.org. New episodes arrive every other Tuesday, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow Nussbaum on your favorite social media platforms and be the first to know when new episodes are released. Thanks for listening. Until next time, own every moment and stay purpose-driven.